Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to today's webinar on ethealthworld.com. Today's webinar topic is New Age Technology Driving Breastfeeding Solutions Industry. The webinar will be presented by Ms. Krista, who is International Educator Medulla Lactation Consultant IBCLC. Without further ado, I would like to invite Krista to present this webinar.
So, hello everybody to this presentation about breastfeeding and lactation. As you probably all know, breast milk is the ultimate all-in-one meal for your baby. Amazingly, the body of a mother produces the right nutrients in the right amount and the right volume of milk to match the baby's needs at all times. Breast milk is a living substance that changes to meet the growing needs and the development of the child. Now, breastfeeding is much more than only nutrition. It helps the baby to develop the immune system. It can decrease the risk for several illnesses, such as gastrointestinal illnesses, can be reduced up to 82%. It lowers the risk of obesity later in life up to 35%. And also it lowers the risk of the baby to get diabetes up to 40%. Also, the risk to develop ear infection is lower by 300%. Another important point is that breastfeeding supports the orofacial system, which means it's supporting the development of view, speech, hearing, and also a human's posture. Also, it is much more than it improves also the brain development. And as you can see in this slide, research says up to 5 IQ points. Of course, never ever we should tell a mother, if you're not breastfeeding your baby, it will not be as intelligent as the other ones. But it's good to know that all the components in breast milk do have also an influence on brain development. Breastfeeding helps the mother and the family. It lowers the risk for the mother to develop breast cancer by up to 25%, ovarian cancer by up to 20%, and also it's kind of protecting the breastfeeding woman from osteoporosis. So, when we look at the cancer thing, there has been done a research, and they looked at women who did not have any sexual life, at women who had no children, at women who were breastfeeding. And the fact is that women who breastfed several babies for a long time, they carried the lowest risk to develop breast cancer. Now, this is only the benefit for mother's health, but then also breastfeeding saves money on formula. And we know today that families who breastfeed their children have less costs on accessories and less costs on in health care. So I would like to state breastfeeding is optimal for nutrition and development of the baby, his health, and his mother's health. Now let's have a closer look at breast milk. Breast milk is living, tailor-made, and ever-changing. It contains over 415 proteins, more than 130 prebiotics, cells, living cells, enzymes, antibodies, hormones, and growth factors. all in perfect balance for the baby's development. Looking a little bit closer at colostrum, you see the different color this colostrum has. It can have many, many different colors. For example, I saw a mother with orange colostrum. When I asked her what she was eating in the last few weeks, she said she almost only ate carrots, and therefore her colostrum became kind of orange. So colostrum is the first milk available in the first 3 to 5 days. It's in small amount available only, but this small amount fits perfectly to the small stomach of the baby. And as you can see down here in this slide, on day 1, the baby's stomach has a diameter of approximately 1.5 centimeters. Day 2, 2.5, and day 3, 3.7. And this means in this tiny little stomach, we cannot fill in 100 milliliter of a liquid. It just does not fit in. Also, I would like to state that all the figures in this presentation are in average or approximately. Since we are dealing when breastfeeding with human beings, we never can say on day 3 or 50 mils. It depends on the mother and also on the baby when the baby is born, about his health situation, about the mom's health situation, and about everything going around for the two of them. Now, colostrum changes slowly into mature milk. Still we are talking about colostrum, I'm sorry. Okay, colostrum is jam-packed with ingredients, and it has doubled the amount of protein than mature milk will have. So perfectly it protects the baby against diseases from the very, very beginning. Now slowly, colostrum changes into transitional milk. And this is between the physiological engorgement and approximately day 10 to 12. The color of the milk changes as well, and the composition changes. As of day 12, approximately, a very special composition for premature babies in the first few weeks is available. So this mature milk is a complete meal for the baby. It's easy to digest, adjusting ingredients according to the baby's age and needs. When I mentioned that in the first 4 weeks, the milk of a mother of a premature baby is special, then this is because the body of the mother knows that the baby is born too early, and therefore the composition of the milk is different from milk from a mother of a healthy term-born baby. So we can say breast milk is tailor-made, it's living, and it's ever-changing. It is especially important for ill and preterm children. For them, breast milk of the own mother is like medicine. Second best for ill and preterm babies would be mother of another woman, donor or human milk. Only third or fourth best, we can say, formula should be given to those tiny little and sick children. Research today, when we talk about breastfeeding and lactation, plays quite a big role. So we believed for 160 years that this is the model of how the breast looks inside. Here you can see kind of lactiferous sinuses where we believed milk is stored. You see the glandular tissue deep in the breast. When this research was started, we wanted to know and to see by ultrasound what has been taught for many, many years in the textbooks. Unfortunately, the researcher did not find this. They found this model. And at this one, we now can have a close look. It is important to understand the anatomy of the lactating breast because it helps us to support moms when breastfeeding or when they do have problems with breastfeeding or pumping. Now, we all know how the breast looks from outside, but did you ever look at the breast when it was empty? This is what we can see. This is the breast muscle, and this is a fat layer on top of the breast muscle. We also have a fat layer beneath the skin, and this is a rather thin one on the top of the breast, but at the underside of the breast, the fat layer is quite thick. Now, let's add some milk ducts. Easily, in this picture, you can see milk ducts branch already at the base of the nipple. When I became a lactation consultant, we learned milk ducts branch somewhere in here. But today we know very, very close at the base of the nipple, they already branch. Let's add some glandular tissue. And we will highlight one of these branches of these globules. Okay, and it's empty. And I believe for some of you it will be the first time to see a lactating breast like this. Now, what do we see? We have here the breast muscle and the fat layer on the breast muscle. We also have a fat layer beneath the skin. It's a small, tiny one here. And beneath the breast, it's a quite big fat layer. Now let's add some milk ducts. So you can see the milk ducts branch very, very close at the base of the nipple, almost here already. And another point is that the milk ducts are superficial, which means only few millimeters beneath the skin. Now let's add some glandular tissue to that one. And here you can see one bunch of glandular tissue. And in one of these, the milk will be produced. You also see very good in this picture that in the region of about 3 centimeters from the base of the nipple, in this radius, 60% of the glandular tissue is located, which is this here in front of the breast. So it's very, very clear that we need to understand this anatomy of the lactating breast. You see many, many women, they squeeze their fingers up here somewhere in their breast tissue to hold the nose of the babies free. Now this means they are blocking, by squeezing the finger into the tissue, the milk duct, the main milk duct, coming from all these bunch of alveoli. The milk cannot flow out of these alveoli. Now, when it cannot flow out, at a certain point, it goes back to where it has been produced, to the lactocytes. And on its way back in the milk, a protein is activated, which is called FIL, feedback inhibitor of lactation. This protein brings to the lactocytes, the milk-producing cells, the information there is no need to produce so much milk, and the production over time, sometimes only 2 to 3 days, sometimes over a week or 2 weeks, the production will go down. Now we can add some more fat, which is intermingled with the glandular tissue, as you can see in this picture very well. Now these parts here, these are the so-called Cooper's ligaments. This is to give the breast shape and to hold it together. For your better understanding, this last slide again with all the names of the parts you can see in this picture. So we do have the Cooper's ligaments down here, and then the retromammary fat, the glandular fat, the intraglandular fat, subcutaneous fat, main milk ducts, and all the other milk ducts. Another research point was to closely look at infant sucking. On the left side, you can see what we have learned for many, many years. And I will play the video for you now. And look what the baby does with its tongue. Jetzt geht das nicht. Seems to be, there we go. Now can you see how the tongue is from the tip stripping the milk out somehow in the baby's mouth? This is what we have learned in the past. Now let's have a look at what actually happens when the baby is breastfeeding. You see the difference between the tongue movement is great. Now, when the baby is breastfeeding, he takes the nipple into his mouth as much as he needs. And you can see when you compare the two pictures, today we know the tip of the nipple does not reach the hard and soft palate junction. The tongue is not moving in a wave way. It's going up and down at the back. When the tongue goes down, the space, the oral cavity becomes a little bit bigger, the vacuum in there becomes high, the milk ducts can open up, and the milk flows into the baby's mouth. So this is also important to understand, because sometimes the baby does something wrong with his tongue and therefore can hurt his mother's nipple. Now, knowing all this and knowing about what the baby actually does, we could optimize pumping for the mothers. Now, these two videos show how the baby is feeding from the breast. Now look closely of what he is doing and how fast he is sucking. Very, very quick sucking, kind of stimulating the breast to release the milk. And now he's feeding and swallowing. So slower cycles, but deep sucking. Now this has been implemented into breast pumps, and this video shows you how breast pumps work when we talk about these two phases. Very, very quick. And then when the milk starts to flow, like you can see now, the cycles become less and deeper. Another research is something which is very, very helpful for everybody who works together with moms and babies in the breastfeeding period, because moms, they have a lot of questions. So Jackie Kent was looking at what is normal when it comes to breastfeeding. And here, the questions are, how often and how long should the baby breastfeed? Now, in this study, the infants assessed had an age of 1 to 6 months. They were perfectly normal full-term infants, exclusively breastfeeding on demand. And they were also growing according to the WHO growth charts. Now, how often and how long should the baby breastfeed? Breastfeeding sessions, depending on the age of the baby, can vary in between 4 to 13 in 24 hours. At the very beginning, when the stomach is a tiny little one and colostrum in small amounts available only, babies will feed up to 12 times in 24 hours. The older they become, the bigger the stomach will be, the less the baby will have to feed. How much should my baby feed? This is also a question. Often we hear it from moms, and we know by this research that the baby feeds in average 75 milliliters. It's a range from 30 to 135. Some babies feed from one breast only, and others from both. Now, it is normal that one breast of the mother seems to be the better one. Almost every mother sees this, and the baby usually prefers the better breast. The duration of a breastfeeding session can be between 12 and 67 minutes in average, according to this research. Now, I have seen newborn babies, 5 days old. They fed within 3 minutes everything they needed. And all babies of this family, all children, fed the same way. So this is normal too. Boys and girls do not drink the same amount. Boys, in average, drink in 24 hours 831 milliliters. Girls, 755. So the range is from 470 to 1,350. One breast or both, depends on the child, depends on the age of the baby, and it may change for one baby over the time. Night feeding is normal, and this is also important to know. But only 36% of the infants don't feed at night. At night means between 10 p.m. and 4 a.m. So most of the babies will have to have a night feeding session or even 2. There is a global effort to support breastfeeding initiated by UNICEF. And there are two things which really help to promote, protect, and support breastfeeding. The first thing is the 10 steps to support breastfeeding in hospitals, which we will have a closer look at. And the second initiative is the baby-friendly hospital initiative. There, a hospital, a maternity department can become baby-friendly when fulfilling all the requirements of this initiative. These are the first five steps out of the 10 steps to successful breastfeed. The hospital should have a written policy which all staff members coming in contact with mom and baby need to know. The hospital staff should be trained in skills necessary to implement this policy. And this means also doctors, nurses, everybody who works together with baby and child should attend these regular trainings. All pregnant women shall be informed about the benefits of breastfeeding, of breast milk, and the management of breastfeeding. Mothers should be able to feed their baby within at least 1 hour after birth. Mothers should know how to breastfeed, and they should know how to maintain lactation even if they should be separated from their infants. So mothers have changed a lot in the last 20 to 30 years. 20 years ago, we could tell a mother to do this and this and this, and she just did it. But today, with the many opinions opinions and informations we can get from everywhere, mothers often ask, why should I do this or this or this? They want to have an explanation. They want to understand why they should do something in this way or in another way. Newborns should not receive any food or drink but breast milk unless it's medically indicated. Breast milk is the only thing they need, and it's the only thing, breastfeeding is the only thing the mother needs to have a good initiation of lactation. This means the baby, when he's born, within the first half hour or hour, should be able to breastfeed for the first time. And then very frequently, breastfeeding helps to initiate lactation very well, and also it helps the mother to get familiar with the baby. Point 7 says, practice rooming in, which means the baby should stay 24/7 with his mother. Many moms with the first child, they are not sure what to do. Now, when they can stay together with the child all the time, they will learn to interpret the baby's noises, and they will learn when he or she shows signs of hunger. Breastfeeding on demand should be the gold standard. Babies show when they are hungry, and there is no need to go after a schedule at all. Point 9 says, in the beginning, when the baby and the mother learn together to breastfeed, until lactation is established, give no artificial teats or pacifiers. Only breastfeeding and mom's breast is what the baby needs. And the last point, foster the establishment of breastfeeding support groups and refer mothers to them on discharge from the hospital or clinic. Give the mother indications where can she get help if she goes home. Maybe there is a public nurse around where the mother lives who has experience in accompanying breastfeeding mothers. And the mother should know when she has a problem to go to that person and ask for help. So he's looking a little bit like saying, what? I would like to answer your questions if you have so far.
There are some
Let's
questions I
see
already shared with you.
where I can find the question. Pardon?
A few questions have been already shared with you.
Yes, there are some questions. Wait a minute. Can you show me the questions?
You can see the questions in the questions
There
window.
we are. Yeah, but I cannot open it. There, okay. What is the minimum period a child should be breastfed? Now, WHO, as well as most of the national pediatrician associations, say that a baby should be exclusively breastfed for the first 6 months of life. This goes ahead with the development, with the physiological development of the child. Sometime in the second half of his first year of life, babies will show interest when parents are eating. So they will look at mom's mouth when she is eating. They will like to grab some food when the mother is having something in her hand. And this is the moment when the baby can get first time solids. So exclusive breastfeeding for 6 months, then replacing breastfeeding sessions by solid meals in the second half of the first year of life, slowly, step by step by step, and weaning until the end of the second year of the baby. Then there is another question. What are the challenges faced by new mother as far as breastfeeding is concerned? There are many today because there is the internet. And when you search for breastfeeding, you will get lots and lots and lots and lots of sites and pages where you can have instructions for breastfeeding. Now, the point is, everybody seems to know best, which is not true. And unfortunately, today, families don't live as close together as they used to in ancient times. Therefore, new moms have to learn breastfeeding from health professionals because they did not learn it while they were a child and could see the mother breastfeeding younger siblings. So I believe today the most often questions are, how can I control if my baby gets enough? And there are 2-3 points which show each mother everything is fine with my baby and breastfeeding. So point number 1, a baby has wet nappies in the first 6 to 8 weeks, 5 to 7 times in 24 hours. Bowel movements in this period can be once a day or at each breastfeeding session. After 6, maybe 8, 9 weeks, the number of bowel movements will change. It will become less, and it may be that the baby has nothing at all for 1 or 2 days. That's normal. And the third point is a breastfed baby, should gain 120 grams a week and more. Now, I became a grandma recently, and it was fascinating to see that the small boy, which had only 2.6 kilos when he was born, gained in the first 4 weeks of life, in average, 250 grams a week. Really fascinating. So everything more than 120 grams a week is okay. So we also have another question. Can you please re-explain the mechanism of baby sucking tongue and lips? And I will do this when we go back to the presentation. Then I show you again the video, the correct one, and then you can see what happens. Now let me answer the last question, which says, how safe are infant formulas in the first year of the child's life if the mother is unable to lactate sufficiently? I need to say that formula today usually is as good as a company can produce it. It will never ever be the same like breast milk, but happily for those mothers who cannot breastfeed for some reason, formula can be the solution. I myself, I have 2 sons. The first one I could not breastfeed because I did not have the information and no help at all. He is married and the father of Kellan. And the second boy I could breastfeed for 15 months. Both of them go their way. Both of them are healthy. So you see, breastfeeding is best. But if it's not possible, we can go to formula and be sure the children will grow properly. So I go back to the presentation and will show again the video about the feeding. Now this is the video based on the research. What do you see? You see the tongue of the baby. This big muscle is the tongue. You can see the lips of the baby flanged out, both of them, upper and lower lip. And then you see here the hard palate and the soft palate. Now this is the space where the milk flows in. We have here the nipple, and you see clearly it does not reach the junction of hard and soft palate. Now when the tongue goes down, like it is right now, the nipple comes a little bit further into the baby's mouth. When the tongue goes up, the whole nipple is squeezed a little bit together, the milk ducts become smaller, and the nipple goes out a little bit. Now let's play the video again and see how this is combined together. Up, down, up and down. Of course, we cannot look inside the baby's mouth when he's breastfeeding. But the point is that the chin of the baby should be in contact with mom's breast Unfortunately, this is not quite correct on this animation. Now, the nose of the baby sometimes is in slight contact with the tissue of the mother's breast only. Now, to take the baby to the breast, the mother should stimulate his lips with a nipple and hold him in a way that he has to enhance his chin to attach to the breast. And this means the nose will be free and he can breathe properly, and the mother does not need to squeeze together here the breast tissue. I hope this is okay, and we go back to where we have been before. Okay. Now, how can we encourage women to breastfeed their children? First of all, I still believe it is important that women understand that we are made by nature, in a way, to breastfeed our children. And mothers need to know the benefits of breastfeeding, of her milk, for the baby, for herself, and for the family. And at the end, it means not only that the family can save money and mother and baby will be healthier. When you look a little bit wider at the picture, at the bigger picture, then you will realize if most babies were breastfed, at the end, we would have a healthier society. And that would lower costs in health for all of us. So the mother should also know about the breastfeeding positions. This is important for her because she can try how to get the baby into her arms even during pregnancy by using a doll. Hello? Is this okay? Hello?
She said,
Can you see the picture? Hello? Okay.
Yeah, please continue.
So I hope yeah, okay. So breastfeeding positions are important because there are some which are better to learn and others which are just easy doing. So I will go through the breastfeeding positions in a while. And also mothers should know what is normal when we talk about breastfeeding and how they can control if their milk is sufficient to feed the baby. So let also fathers know about. It's of interest for them as well, because the father plays an important role. He needs to protect mom and baby to make sure there is a quiet situation for the two of them to get familiar with each other and to learn breastfeeding. Breastfeeding is a learned behavior, and it can be done, it can be learned in a protected and calm environment only. Now wieso geht es das nicht? Okay. Now, when we talk about the breastfeeding positions, then we talk about hospital, because today many women, they give birth in hospital and learn there about the breastfeeding positions for the first time. So there we are. Hospital staff needs to be trained on the benefits of breast milk. So what you see here in this picture is a small column, only one, with ingredients of formula. And on the left side of the picture, you can see what's in breast milk. And there is much more to be discovered, because we do not know everything yet which is in breast milk. So you can see it's important to train not only the moms, but also the hospital staff about the benefits of breast milk. Then the breastfeeding positions. Everybody should be able to explain a mother how to hold her baby when breastfeeding. Please make sure you can explain it. It's easy to put mother and baby together when we do it ourselves, but mothers need to be able to do it themselves. Everybody should know about breast milk composition and therefore understand how the milk is produced and how it's transferred from the production side, if I can call it like this, to the baby's stomach. Then hospital staff should be able to explain the anatomy of the lactating breast to a mother, because during pregnancy, breast size changes and moms need to understand what's going on in there. The mother should know how the baby feeds, how he is sucking. It helps her to feel if the baby is doing it right or not. And mothers, especially those who are separated from the children, should know about pumping. The hospital could define breastfeeding guidelines in order to have the same knowledge for all the health providers in a hospital. And also, maybe, if possible, hire a breastfeeding specialist who could help out to the nurses when it comes to breastfeeding questions, or who could train hospital staff. Now, when we look at the breastfeeding positions, there are some points. Pardon?
We cannot see the slides moving now. This is slide number 21 we can see. Can you please check?
Only. This one. Okay. Can you see it now?
Yes.
Can you see the slides now? And now?
Yeah, the slide number 22 we can see.
22, yeah, okay. So this is what I was talking about, and I'm going through again quickly when you could not see the slides. So health professionals need to be trained on breastfeeding as well as on lactation, because they are two people and together they breastfeed. The mother is a lactating mother and the baby is feeding, sucking at the mother's breast, and together what they do is breastfeeding. Now, the professionals should know about the benefits of breast milk. As I mentioned before, in the left part of the picture, you see all the ingredients of breast milk, and on the right side, the ingredients of formula. And it's obvious that breast milk contains much, much, much more than formula, and therefore should be the preferred nutrition for babies. Breastfeeding positions are important to explain to the mother, not to show, and not to put mom and baby together. Explain it verbally and tell the mother how to do, how to take the baby in her arms to be able to breastfeed successfully. Breast milk composition is very important for health professionals, and the anatomy of lactating breasts as well, because during pregnancy, breast size changes often, and for the mother it's important to know that she should not squeeze her finger into the breast tissue and therefore not block any milk ducts. Infant sucking, if the mother can understand it, she may feel if the child is doing something wrong while being attached to her breast. Pumping is something important when mother and baby are separated. It's especially important for moms of ill and premature babies to get quick initiation of lactation and then to be able to maintain milk production. Remember, milk for premature babies and ill babies is kind of a medicine. The hospital could define breastfeeding guidelines so everybody who works with mom and babies has the same knowledge level and therefore uses a same language. Maybe you are able to hire a breastfeeding specialist. This person could help the nurses when it comes to breastfeeding topics, and also this person could train health professionals on a regular basis. So in general, there are a few points we should look at when we talk about breastfeeding positions. Mother should be comfortable. Mom and baby are belly to belly. The baby's body is in a basic posture, which means ear, shoulder, and hip are in a straight line. The chin of the baby is in contact with the breast, and the nose sometimes too. Now, having a look at each of these positions, we start with the back hold or side hold position. In my opinion, this is the very best position to learn breastfeeding. Usually the mother does not hold the cushion like in the picture, but she holds in her hand the back head of his baby and supports with her forearm the baby's back. In this position, she can guide the baby very, very easily to her breast, and they do have a very good eye contact. The mother sees the whole face of the baby and sees very good when he is open the mouth wide, and then she can take him to her breast. Cross cradle hold looks a bit silly maybe, but it's the second best position. Again, the baby's head is supported by the hand of his mom, his back by mother's forearm. She can guide the baby very, very good in this position too. And once the baby has latched on properly, she may change her arms and change from the cross cradle to the cradle hold. Now this is the most seen breastfeeding position. You can do it everywhere. It's a very good position for breastfeeding couples who have learned it already, and it works well. Then there is a nice one for the night time. Laying on the side, having the baby laying on his side, close to the mother, and then breastfeeding together. This position at the beginning can be a little bit difficult because the baby needs to learn to open his mouth wide and take as much breast tissue in his mouth as he needs individually. But once the two of them have learned to feed together, this is very relaxing also during daytime. When we talk about supporting breastfeeding, we need to talk about the first hour of the baby's life. So immediately after delivery, the baby should be able to breastfeed. Women sometimes need help. Babies sometimes need a little bit of help. And sometimes it does not look like they are really feeding, but it doesn't matter. From this time on, frequent breastfeeding is requested, up to 12 times in 24 hours. For the mother, it supports the involution of the uterus, and it's also good support for initiation of lactation. Then something which happens to almost all of the women is the physiological engorgement. You can see the breasts in these pictures are really big and the veins very good visible. So the reason for this is a high blood circulation in the breast region and a high secretion of lymphatic liquid in breast region as well. Now, what you see is warm, red, and hard breasts. And this situation lasts for approximately 6 to 18 hours, maybe a little bit less, maybe a little bit more. Now the solution can be frequent breastfeeding after delivery until the physiological engorgement occurs, or a breast or back massage for the mother. Breastfeeding or pumping, applying cold compresses, and explain the mother what is going on and tell her it's only a very, very short period of time, but it's an important period. Now, I would say the good breastfeeding specialist is the one who explains only. Hands off. Use a doll. Explain verbally. Mothers today, they stay in the hospital for few days only. And many breastfeeding specialists, they can bring together every mother with every baby, but that's no help for the moms. They need to be able to do it themselves when they leave the hospital. So from the very beginning, if you would see me working with mother and baby, I would say there only talk to the mother, and the mother would need to do everything herself. Breastfeeding guidelines or a breastfeeding policy is important in order that everybody has the same knowledge. And also, you need to make sure you have a standardized communication in your maternity ward. There is nothing worse but getting from everybody you ask a different answer regarding one single question. So make sure all give the same information, and make sure You formulate your informations and whatever you say to the breastfeeding mom in a positive way. The difference is huge. Either you bang the mother or you motivate her. One very short, simple sample. You are weighing the baby after breastfeeding. Bring the baby back to the mother and you say to the mother, oh, he's got only 5 grams this time. Okay? The mother will have doubts about her ability to breastfeed their child. Or you go to the mother and say, wow, 5 grams this time. This is 100% more than last time. So this encourages the mother to continue with breastfeeding. Now, new knowledge should be made available for all professionals, and the best thing to do is via a breastfeeding guideline or policy. And it supports breastfeeding. Involve all health professionals if you are going to set up breastfeeding guidelines. All of them need to be familiar with them, and all of them can contribute with their special knowledge to the breastfeeding guidelines. Set milestones and make small steps only. For example, start with avoiding pacifiers. The next step is to define in the team for 3 weeks we are going to avoid pacifiers and see the outcome in breastfeeding. You will be surprised what happens. And teach the mothers. So I would like to share with you a last video, and it's just amazing to see what this baby is able to do. The baby we will see is 1 week old, and he never had the possibility to do what he is doing in this video. As you can see, he is laying on his mother's body, and look what he's doing. He is searching for the breast, for the nipple. And he tries hard to catch it. Another try. Still not there. But now. Now this is an instinct newborns have. So actually after birth, the newborn baby should be laid on his mother's stomach. And then slowly, slowly, he crawls somehow to the breast of his mom. He can smell the areola and he can see the dark spot of the nipple. Very good for bonding and breastfeeding. So the goal and the outcome of all would be to have healthy and lucky babies and lucky moms. And that's for today all from my side. I will have a look at the questions and of course answer them right now. Oh, there are quite a few. So the next question is it a quite common problem? It is a quite common problem. Sometimes babies don't want to drink even though they are hungry why? Unfortunately, I need to say I cannot really answer that question. Sometimes you have the impression the baby would like to feed, and then he doesn't. And sometimes you have the impression he is at the breast and he does nothing. But when you take him away off from the breast, he starts to cry again. Now, breastfeeding and being attached to mom's breast is more than only nutrition. Maybe there is a lot going around baby and mother. Maybe there are many visitors. And then the baby does not feel comfortable. Whenever the baby does not feel comfortable, he wants to go to the breast. And sometimes you interpret, you may think he is hungry, but he wants to go to the breast for another reason. Now, keep in mind, during the pregnancy, the baby has been for 9 months in contact with his mother's body. He moved together with his mother's body. He could hear the blood circulation and he could hear the heartbeat of his mother. Now, when he is born, he is physically separated from his mother's body. And therefore, some babies, they don't like it and they need to learn this being separated from mother's body first. So they want to go to the breast all the time. And it's difficult to say if the baby is hungry or not. And the mother has to learn the signs of the baby. Is he really hungry? Or does he need only me to be close to me? Hard to find out. And then we have another question. Can the mother feed the baby in laying down position? I hope I could answer this question. As you saw the picture, and yes, it's possible. It is also possible that the mother lays on her back and the baby on top of her. And then she will have to hold the baby's head at his forehead with her hands. It's also possible. Now, whenever you see a mother and the baby breastfeeding together, and you think this is not a good position, before you do anything, ask the mother, does it feel good for you? And look at the baby. Is he content after the feeding session? If yes, don't change anything. Just leave the two of them. Okay, so thank you very much for attending this webinar, and I hope I could answer some of your questions at least. Thank you.